Hey guys, this is a therapist task guide for colleagues part 3. For this task, you are not allowed to kill Sanitar, and then you also have to find 10 labs access cards in raid, as well as an AHF1M stimulant and also a 3 BTG stimulant, and then hand all these items over to therapist. So this task was changed last wipe, and in my opinion is now much easier and actually possible for a majority of the player base to complete. And the fact that you can get a labs black card as a reward is huge for you to either sell it and make a couple million profit immediately, or even keep it and use it for your friends and yourself in order to make a ton of profit over time throughout the wipe. Now, a quick tip when doing this task is not to hand in any of the items for this task until you have accumulated all of them, just in case you do end up accidentally killing Sanitar, which would cause you to then fail this task and then lose any of the items that you've already handed over towards this task completion. And that could definitely be costly, especially if you've already handed over all 10 of your found and raised labs access cards. So the first requirement for this task is to avoid killing Sanitar, so you are unable to kill him until you have collected all of the other items needed for the task and then handed them all over to therapist and then selected complete. After you have done this, then you can kill him for the rest of the wipe without any penalty whatsoever. However, if you do end up killing Sanitar before handing over all the items to therapist for this task, then you will complete the Jäger task, the Huntsman's Pass Sadist, which is the task that he gives you in order to kill Sanitar. So basically you will have to look at the rewards for each task and then decide which one that you would rather do. So for the next portion of this task, then we will be collecting items found in raid in order to hand them over to therapist, the first of which being the 10 labs access cards. Now, the overall best way to find the labs access cards is by either using your own scav and hoping that you do load in with one, or by looting the dead scavs that you come across while on your scav. Or your other option is by killing scavs while on your PMC and then looting them in hopes that they did spawn in with the labs access card. I do especially try to loot the obvious player scavs that we come across while in raid, since it does seem like they have a much higher rate of having a labs access card. Unfortunately, I can't give you guys a foolproof strategy or set spawns for this task. It does all rely heavily on RNG and whether luck is on your side, or whether or not the player scavs or scavs in general have spawned in with one or not. One tactic that could help is to spam factory scavs whenever it is available to you, which will get you in and out quicker, which in turn will get you an increase to your fence rep with each successful extract, and that will also help to decrease your scav timer, making it available sooner to you. Now, the other options for finding labs access cards in raid that don't involve killing scavs or spawning in with one are from looting drawers, which again has an RNG factor that weighs in here, or you can also find them in Sturman's stash. There is also the possibility of getting them from raiders, or you can also get them from all of the bosses, so that includes Reshala, Killa, Gluhar, Sanitar, Sturman, Tagilla, Ziriachi, Kaban, the 3 goons, and also the cultist priests. And depending on where you are with your task progression, you can also get 3 as a reward for the Huntsman Path Woodskeeper task, which is to eliminate Sturman and hand over his key to Jäger. And now on to the more difficult part of this task, and what majority of people will likely be stuck on is to find the AHF1M and 3 BTG stims, and these are quite rare and really only have a couple of potential spawns in the game. The first of the potential ways to get this stim that I will talk about is that they can actually spawn in on your scav when you do load into a scav raid. And apparently this is how a lot of people have managed to get their hands on these stims this wipe. Although this is completely RNG, so for most people like myself, I may end up getting one of the stims this way, but I would never end up getting both. But the more that you end up running your scav, the better your chance is, so if you in and out factory a lot, then this may end up working for you. The second option, if you do have your hideout built up enough, is the scav case. This is another RNG wheel spin, but I recommend running moonshine cases and then hoping that the drunken scavs bring you back one of these 2 stims while you're also out searching for them in an actual raid. And you do have a higher chance of getting task-related items if you do give the moonshine, so that's why I recommend that you try that over the intelligence folder option, since the intelligence folder gives you a higher probability of keys and intel items. But you can also get lucky with a 95k scav case as well, since the loot pool for that is wide open, so you can get any item in the game using the 95k. The next place where you can have a chance to get the stims is inside of a medical supply airdrop, so if you are lucky enough to be able to get an airdrop crate without being head-eyes by somebody in a bush camping it from 100 meters away, and it happens to be a medical one, then there is a chance that you can get a 3 BTG or an AHF1 stim from there, and then I would just full send the extract. And then in terms of lootable crates, then you also have the potential to get these stims from med bags, however not medical cases. For some reason, stimulants cannot spawn inside of the med cases, so I try to loot any of the med bags that I do come across because of the better loot pools, including a chance to get one of these stims. And you can also get either of these stims from a sport duffel bag or a 5x2 weapon box. Another option is to always check what your daily and weekly task rewards are, since it is possible to get some pretty wild rewards, including one of these 2 stims. Now, the next method, and honestly one of the best ways that you can get these stims without having to go to labs, is actually from Sanitar or his guards. And obviously the first rule of this task is not to kill Sanitar, but that doesn't mean that you can't kill his guards and then have a friend kill Sanitar. and I was actually able to find all the stims that I needed for the samples task from the guards that I killed in one raid. However, this is definitely a risky option, especially if your friend ends up dying or you end up getting backed into a corner by Sanitar, so then you may end up being forced to either kill him or to try and run away and hope that he doesn't kill you or chase you. Or if you are a solo player, then you could always try and just pick off Sanitar's guards and then leave him alone, or you could always try and third party another PMC after they take out Sanitar and hopefully before he has a chance to put all of his stims into his injector case. But if you are solo, it can definitely be difficult to pick off the guards in an area that you can loot them safely without Sanitar aggroing and pushing you. And then the last two options that I'll talk about to find these stims will be on labs, and these two areas are probably going to be your best bet since this is where the stims tend to spawn the most. And then the first location is going to be inside of Sanitar's office on labs across from the green keycard room, which requires the keycard with blue markings. This keycard does commonly spawn on Sanitar, but also can be obtained from your Scav case or also from the flea market, typically selling for around 350 to 400k. And inside of this room, then you do have several different stim spawns as well as other medical supplies. This room is a nice option to have since typically it isn't looted. However, it is only a single-use keycard for about 350k, but for the fact that it does have the potential for about 10 stim spawns, and it is also in close proximity to multiple extracts, then it can definitely be worth it, especially since you can usually just get into this area and then head to extract if you end up finding an item that you need. And then the best option in terms of consistency for these two stims, but at the same time the least feasible for most players, is the black room on labs. Obviously, labs in general is not enjoyable for most of the player base, and then the fact that the black card usually sells for over 4 million rubles on the flea market, or you can always barter trade it from level 4 mechanic after completing Gunsmith Part 25, but the barter trade actually does cost you just over 2 million rubles after you accumulate all of the items, so either way it's not going to be cheap for you. However, if you do like to run labs, then this key can definitely pay itself off and is arguably the best key card to run on the map due to its consistency with stims and also possible LEDX spawns. Or your other option is that if you do have a friend who has the black card and then they can open up the room for you, then it's definitely worth running the map in order to get this task over with as soon as possible. You can even sometimes meet a nice labs player through VoIP who will gift you a found and raid stim that you need in order to finish this task. But try this at your own risk since usually labs boys are just as ruthless as they are cracked. Obviously, I know it sounds silly to recommend using a black keycard in order to obtain another one as a reward for completing Colleagues Part 3. However, what I ended up doing was spending 2 million on the barter trade for the card and then selling the card that I received as the reward for completing the task on the flea market for 4 million rubles, which means that I ended up making almost 2 million profit. So that's just one way that you can go about doing this task. So hopefully you guys found this guide useful and it does help you to complete this task. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching the video, and if you're still here at the end, I definitely appreciate you, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is just a couple of my different social links in case you guys wanted to connect more easily. I am primarily streaming on Twitch now multiple nights a week. So if you do want to connect with me or my community, that would probably be the easiest way to do so. And if you do come over to the Twitch and you want to join the Discord community, then just type !Discord or cord in the chat in order to get an invite link. And if you don't use Twitch, then I do have a link in the picture as well as a link below in the description. And we are growing and currently have an active and welcoming community with people of all experience and skill levels. So there will always be someone who could help to answer any questions that you may have. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching the video, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.